to go across to India today is Rajesh Pawar, who's live with me from Kyiv. Let's go straight across to him. Rajesh, you've been sending us amazing reports from the streets of Kyiv, really giving us a sense of what things are looking like with curfew lifted right now. The Indian embassy has just issued an advisory asking students to get to trains and move to the western part of Ukraine. But all eyes now, Rajesh, are on those peace talks that are on near the Belarus-Ukraine border. What can you tell us about what you're hearing about those talks? Not a lot of hope being pinned on those talks, Rajesh.
Absolutely, you're right. All the hopes as of now are pinned on those negotiations taking place on Belarus-Ukraine border between the delegations of Russia and Ukraine. They will succeed or not. Let's hope they do, but the chance is. And as per the advisory of the Indian embassy, yes, they have told all the students to move to the train stations, and Ukrainian government and railways has placed additional trains to ensure that students can be evacuated. They are very helpful and students should move. Before I go further on the situation, I would like to show you something. I would like to show a bomb site, the place where the bomb fell, a missile fell, and a house was damaged, and a few vehicles were damaged. I'll turn my camera around if you would focus on that.
We can see, Rajesh. Tell us what you're seeing.
This is the place where the bomb actually fell, where it hit the ground. And this is a building behind me, which was totally shattered after the attack, after the bomb fell. The impact, if you could see, has gone beyond 30 to 40 meters all around. And if you see, that is what remains of a car. You know, half of it is hung across the tree. This is the remnants of in fact, two cars. If you could see how the effect of the bomb. Can you see it clearly? Is my camera focused?
We can see it clearly. It's a little jerky, but we can see it clearly, Rajesh. We're seeing everything that you're showing us. Keep going.
I can show you. It's a remnant of the missile or of the car. I'm not sure, but if you could see some round object here, it's a shell. Maybe it's a shell. You see this thing? Can you see it? The brown thing?
Please be careful, Rajesh. Yeah. We can see it.
Yeah, this may be the remnant of the bomb which hit this building, this site. This is a civilian area, and I said the fighting took place. A lot of fighting took place in north of Kyiv. This is towards the north of Kyiv, and we have been brought here by the officials of the Ukrainian government to show us the damage to the civilian areas. Any questions for me, Shiv?
This is a residential area you're reporting from, Rajesh. Incredible. The first, I'm guessing this is the first up-close evidence that residential civilian areas have been targeted.
See, Shiv, let's not be too judgmental about it, because in such a large-scale war, there will be collateral damage. Some missiles, some rockets will go fire, they will go off the target in spite of the technologies available. So, and mind you, we are on this trip now organized by the Ukrainian government. What else you expect them to show us? This is a trip so that it can be screened around the world on the TV sets, so that they can garner more sympathy, more support, and they can demonize the Russian government more by showing you all this.
Of course, the war of claims and counterclaims is going to play out through videos of this kind. There's a great deal of public relations that's on right now as well. What else are you seeing around you, Rajesh?
In this site, this is just one missile. You see, this was a storage place. It's also damaged. It's a huge impact. It's probably a very large caliber bomb, or a rocket, or it probably could be a cruise missile which hit this place. The damage is somewhere in the radius of about 50 to 60 meters around the place where the bomb landed or the missile landed. Shiv.
Where are all the people who lived here? Where have they been taken, Rajesh?
Man, there are no people here. Everybody has left. There's only just a dog there I see there who's there in this yard. There's nothing else. Everybody has moved out. Civilians have moved out of Kyiv. Shiv. Anybody who could afford to move out, who had the means to move out, have moved out. People, if you see around me when I'm showing you this, are all foreign journalists brought in by the Ukrainian government here. Over to you, Shiv.
Okay, so the Ukrainian government has, escorted journalists there to show them the site of the damage. Obviously, there is a claim war on, an effort being made to kind of portray the damage that has been done apparently by the Russian invading forces. What kind of an attack? You're a military man, Rajesh. What kind of an attack was this? Was it a rocket attack? Was it artillery? Were it missiles from a standoff range? What does it look like?
Look. I have heard analysts and people talking on TV shows, talking about Smirch and Grad and all. Yes, in Donbas region, they have been used. But in Kyiv and the areas which are far off from the Russian border, from Donbas, there is no use of Smirch or Grad rocket launchers. Most of them have been attacks by cruise missiles, depending of different calibers, of different capacities, but most of them have been precision cruise missiles, some of which went haywire and as a result hit the residential areas. Shiv.
Rajesh, thanks very much. Very compelling report there. The first images of a damaged site, a place where, some kind of cruise missile damage being seen for the first time here on Indian television. Like I keep telling you on India Today, we have the best reporters on the ground bringing you the actual conflict. You might wonder why we're saying only channel in the real war zone. That's because we're not reporting from hotels. We're actually reporting from the site of the conflict damage and from where the combat has actually taken place. These are live pictures. These are not recorded pictures. These are out of Rajesh Pawar's camera. He's showing you a site that has clearly been attacked. Gaurav Sawant continues to be with me as well. Gaurav, in Kyiv, curfew lifted right now. Indian embassy, trying to get students, up and out towards the western part of Ukraine. But I want to ask you something that sounded very ominous to us, Gaurav. Moscow apparently sounding an alarm, sounding a warning, asking the people of Kyiv to evacuate. What does that mean, Gaurav? Why do they want the people of Kyiv to get out of the city? Sounds scary.
Shiv, it does sound extremely scary. It sounds extremely worrisome. There's a very clear sign, a clear warning that comes from Russia asking people to evacuate Kyiv by sundown tonight. Initially, it was said 24 hours they should leave Kyiv. Now it's being said leave as quickly as possible. And this is not just for foreigners. This is for everyone. Every civilian, every non-combatant should leave Kyiv as quickly as possible. And this is now circulating very widely on mobile phones, on WhatsApp messages, the Russian channel RT, their messages, it's all over the place. At the university, I spoke to several students who are trying to come, and they've walked several kilometers, in some instances 5 to 10 kilometers to get to this place. Those who are living in the hostel and those who are living in civilian areas. No buses even today, no metro even today, because every metro, Shiv, is a bomb shelter. So people have walked, they're walking to stations like this with families. Their aim is to leave Kyiv by sundown. The apprehension is, Shiv, later tonight, if these talks fail between Belarus, at the border between Belarus and Ukraine, talks from the Ukrainian side being headed by the defense minister, because Ukrainian president has made it very clear he will not surrender, his country will not surrender. That means the offensive could intensify in the hours and days ahead. And should that intensification happen, then the Russians want to ensure that there are only military targets to take out here. So far, there have been very specialized operations that have been undertaken to target either the airfields or military installations. But from this point on, it may just be a free-for-all war zone to target and take down the adversary and the adversary's defenses. And that is why when you look around here, that's a bank, and that bank is packed to capacity, and people standing in long queues outside because they want to withdraw money. ATMs are now no longer working. The aim is to withdraw money as quickly as possible and get out of Kyiv and get to safer areas, Shiv. It's a task that's easier said than done, giving long queues even outside railway stations here now.
Very, very ominous when Russia actually makes a call for an entire city to be emptied. I want to now, let's get you now. That image of him with his Kalashnikov rifle has, of course, also gone viral. How many young MPs from Ukraine have we seen all wielding their assault weapons as a kind of symbol and a message to Russia and to the world about what young members of parliament use to the high table of politics in Ukraine are now being compelled to do in defense of their motherland. Let's get you the most compelling, most dramatic and defining images on day 5 of this invasion that we've put together for you to paint a picture of where things are at. Here's image number 1. The first image is of a missile striking a residential building in Chernihiv, a city 150 kilometers north from Kyiv, according to the state communication service. This was an attack on a building where 2 lower floors were set on fire. There's currently no information about casualties. These were nighttime images from late last night. Big defining image number 2, massive street fighting, heavy resistance in the Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine. Haunting images of not just military tanks rolling down the streets of one of the largest Ukrainian urban centers, but men in military uniform, the invaders hanging Russian flags on administrative buildings in Donetsk. Defining image number 3. Dead bodies lying around on the streets of Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, a place where Indian students are situated. The battle for Kharkiv has been defined by heavy shelling by Russian forces, and the impact of this shelling is seen on the streets. What was once a bustling urban center now has dead bodies strewn everywhere around it. Kharkiv, remember, is a place of some of the most intense battling between the two countries. The next defining image that we have from day 5, a truly haunting selfie video from Bucha city, very close to capital Kyiv. The video shows what appears to be a resident filming the destruction with some vehicles still on fire. Bucha city is another part of Ukraine that's been pounded by the Russian forces for days on end. The next image is the definition, perhaps, of desperate times, calling for desperate measures. Citizens getting together to meet and make Molotov cocktails or petrol bombs in soft drink bottles. The Ukrainian government has asked its citizens to make these Molotov cocktails to use as a weapon to protect themselves against the invading force. One brewery in Ukraine has also joined in, not to make beer, but Molotov cocktails. Now, one of the most viral moments that India today has encountered in the last 1 hour, and everybody's talking about this encounter, is the fact that a Chinese student we found on the streets of Kyiv, not far from a building that was hit by a cruise missile, has actually asked for Indian help. The subtext is that the Chinese government has perhaps left its citizens in the lurch, but the Indian government and the embassy on the ground, particularly in Kyiv, has such a fabulous reputation for doing everything it possibly can to bring Indian students out that you've got even a Chinese student asking for the Indian government's help. Take a look.
I'm here with a Chinese student who's studying in Ukraine and is currently stuck in this conflict. We have seen interview of a lot of Indian students are stuck here. Let's see how the Chinese students feel about it and what is their government doing about it. What's your name, please?
My name is Neo.
Neo, where are you from?
China.
Where in China?
Beijing.
He's from Beijing in China. And what are you studying here?
Piano, music.
He's studying piano, music here. And do you feel stuck here? You want to get out of Ukraine or you want to stay back here right now?
I don't know actually. I want to come back to China, but now it's not possible.
Why you think it's not possible to go out now?
Because now we don't have a flight. It's so many soldiers. Sometimes it has some smaller war. So it's something dangerous.
So it's because of some kind of war going on, there's no flights, that's why you can't go, but you want to go back to China now, right?
Yeah.
And have you heard about Indian government is making such a big effort to take students by road to Romania and all?
Yes, I know it. I know yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yesterday, some Indian people to, I don't know, Poland?
Poland and Hungary and Romania, yes.
Yeah, I think it's...
So would you like your government to make a similar effort to take you out of Ukraine right now? Yes? And are you in touch with your embassy telling them that you want to get out, the Chinese embassy here?
Yeah, it's It's preparing to.
Preparing, still preparing.
Yeah.
I'm here outside a supermarket where there's long queues of people all around waiting to find some groceries. Can you show around a little bit? Look, it's a long queue here of people showing to. Long queue of people standing outside for hours to get inside the supermarket. And here we talk to some Chinese students who also want to go back to their country. But unfortunately, so far, their government, unlike the Indian government, have not made any effort. Indian government is one of the best here, embassies and government, which is making so much efforts to get their students out. This is Rajesh Pawar for India Today.
More defining images, positively inundated with images from the conflict areas of Ukraine where we have the maximum number of reporters. Here's another defining image that we've been getting. Unprecedented scenes witnessed by India Today reporter Rajesh Pawar in capital Kyiv. Local police seen apprehending an alleged invader. Ukraine believes Russian militia are trying to infiltrate civilian areas. Watch this dramatic moment.
And look at the reaction. This guy is a Russian militia, civilian Russian militia, and they pinned him on the ground. And look at the reaction of the press here. These are the journalists from almost 30 countries around me, and look how they're reacting. I put it again, the camera onto the crowd right now. Look at this. I thought this guy is a Russian militia, civilian Russian militia, and they pinned him on the ground. And look at the reaction of the press here. These are the journalists from almost 30 countries around me, and look how they're reacting. I put it again, the camera onto the...
The next defining image, India Today also went into the largest hospital in Kyiv. Chilling images of children injured in the crossfire. Ukraine claims that at least 14 kids have lost their lives so far and at least 7 have been seriously wounded. India Today has also captured Ukrainian forces putting up anti-tank obstacles and concrete blocks in the city of Kyiv. Soldiers were also guarding an underpass. Citizens have been coming out in their droves to add to the defense effort.
In place, which will also serve as a kind of probably anti-tank obstacle. Tanks can't go over them. And this is in the middle of a normal highway here, normal main road in the middle of the Kyiv city. These are the soldiers guarding some kind of underpass here. This is on the main road in the middle of the road. I don't know what exactly they're doing, what happened here, but they are there.
The next defining image on day 5 of the invasion, an unexploded Russian warhead was spotted not just anywhere but at a kindergarten school playground. That's the extent of the impact of the kind of firing that's been taking place there. Once again, the claims being made by the Ukrainian government. The next defining image, destruction after a night of heavy shelling and missile attacks in Ukraine's capital. The military and civilians furiously fighting back. Several instances of damage in residential and civilian areas as we've captured first here on India Today. Now remember that India Today has the biggest team of reporters on the ground, and that's the reason why we're able to capture what's unfolding in Ukraine from day 1 to day 5 today better than anybody else, closer to what's happening than anybody else, no second-hand information. Unprecedented scenes on the streets of Kyiv with curfew being lifted. Take a look at this report.
Probably anti-tank obstacle. Tanks can't go over them. And this is in the middle of a normal highway here, normal main road in the middle of the Kyiv city. These are the soldiers guarding some kind of underpass here. This is on the main road in the middle of the road. I don't know what exactly they're doing, what happened here, but they are there. This is like in the middle of the road, what these people have done. This is a residential block almost in the center of the Kyiv city, which has been hit by a missile day before yesterday night. And this is next to a big supermarket here, on the biggest in Ukraine, Novus, and see the queue. Queues are starting from there all the way. They're going, this is the same queue going around then taking a circle here, and people standing here. It's a continuation of same queue here, same queue continuing till here. So probably around 500 people in the queue, and if you stand in the queue right now, probably you'll get the opportunity to go inside the supermarket if it is still open, probably after 4 to 5 hours. And this supermarket is just next to this building, which was hit by a missile day before yesterday night. This is Rajesh Pawar for India Today from Kyiv.
Now, one of the things that the Ukrainian government has been talking about since the last 3 days is that a certain Russian militia has been trying to infiltrate Ukraine using special operations tactics, dressed as Ukrainians in order to, maybe sabotage certain sites. India Today's cameras happened to capture one such interception. Take a look at this.
Middle of the Kyiv city.
I'm taking this straight across to Rajesh Pawar, who's reporting right now from the capital of Kyiv. Rajesh, we're hearing that things are slightly better today when compared to the last few days. Tell us what's happening on the ground.
All right, I'll come to the situation on ground a little later. I want you to show the viewers what is behind me. If you can see me, if you can see there, these are all the foreign journalists from almost 25 to 30 countries, which have been brought here in 4 different buses by the Ministry of Defense to show them the city around and to show them certain locations like hospitals where people are admitted, children are admitted. If you can you see the things behind?
Yeah, we can see.
These are all the journalists from different countries, and now they're running for something. Something is there. I'll just put you there. This is live right now.
Are those protests, Rajesh? Are those people who gathered there?
Can you see this what I'm showing right now?
Yes, we can. We can. Just run us through what's happening.
See this guy.
La policía acaba de hacer un control y acaba de detener con armas en sus manos a un grupo de personas. No sabemos qué es lo que empujó a esta situación. Lo que sí sabemos es que es una situación muy tensa.
Could you see this? Could you take it on video?
Yeah, we got all of that. We got all of it live, Rajesh, here on India Today.
So look at this, the crowd of foreign journalists, everybody crowded around. They thought this guy is a Russian militia, a civilian Russian militia, and they pinned him on the ground, and look at the reaction of the press here. These are the journalists from almost 30 countries around me, and look how they're reacting. I put it again, the camera onto the crowd right now. Okay. Look at this.
So they've gathered there in huge numbers, Rajesh, telling us that these are about 25 to 30 foreign journalists who've gathered. Rajesh, what
I will talk a minute later. Just have a look, please. Have a look.
Yeah.
Is that
some sort of an altercation, Rajesh, that's playing out there?
Отходим, я сказал.
Okay.
Отходим.
All right. I hope you're getting the video correctly. Is it
we are. Rajesh, we'd appreciate it. I understand how things are right now, but we'd appreciate it if you could talk us through also what's happening as you get us these live images.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, and this is a great look at the media, how the media from the world media, how they are, for them this is a very important bite because they found a car which they thought is of Russian people or maybe Russian militia, as I said, and they pinned them on the ground immediately, and there's a big chaos here. This is a police car, the row of police cars in the background here, and this is all media people around here. And the police trying to put them onto one side, not letting them to be on the road.
And I saw a car that they gathered around. What happened there, Rajesh? They gathered around a car as well that we saw cops
come back to the commentary. Can you just focus on the video right now, please? I'll take a minute because I'm recording from my phone.
Sure. Okay, yeah, we can see what you're showing us, so continue doing that for us.
In a second, I will tell you what is happening actually, but just want to show your viewers what is happening on the ground here right now.
Yeah, please do. We'll keep showing that live images that Rajesh is putting out right now. What Rajesh is showing us is from Kyiv, where foreign journalists have gathered. About 30 of these journalists are around him, and you can see a lot of cops, a lot of police present there, trying to ensure that everyone is dispersed, staying away from the roads. Rajesh also telling us that they had stopped a car which they thought to be part of Russian militia and tried to pull down the person and pin him down. So the journalists gathered there, and that's what Rajesh is showing us right now. He's recording these images, so just give us a few seconds. After that, he will also describe in great detail from the ground exactly what's playing out.
Car is being checked. Every person is being checked. Every car is being checked. Yes. Every people, even if there's no curfew, people just can't move around like this.
After that particular report, Rajesh also visited a children's hospital in Kyiv. Remember, the Ukrainian government has said that as many as 14 children have lost their lives in Russian firing so far. Take a look at this report.
Того, чтобы пройти этот сложный путь.
Todos los ucranianos, incluidos los médicos y los pacientes, nos hemos unido para superar este arduo camino.
И я хочу сказать, что несмотря на то, что мы постоянно находимся в убежище.
This was main surgeon here in the children's hospital, and she was telling about the kind of injuries the children coming to this hospital and how they are coping up with the situation. This is Rajesh Pawar for India Today from Kyiv. I'm inside the children's ward here, in the children's ward of the hospital here. There are not enough beds. The children on the ground, if you see there. Everywhere children are full, and this is the basement where in case this is the basement of the hospital where they'll be shifted in case of an air attack. In fact, most of the children have already been shifted here.
So these are the two cities that are currently apparently under siege. A battle is raging in Kharkiv, but the fight for Kyiv is still currently very much on. What's next? What is the scale of the destruction? I'm going to show you when you come back. Now, we're on day 5 of President Putin's invasion of Ukraine. A quick reminder of where things are at, how it began, and where things are at right now. Remember, it started last Thursday, February the 24th, early in the morning. That's when Russia declared this full-scale invasion of Ukraine. February 25th is when Russia captured the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. They surrounded it with their tanks. That was the big action on the next day. February 26th, missile attacks began on the capital city of Kyiv and the second largest city of Kharkiv, where I'm going to take you in just a moment. On February the 27th, Putin put his nuclear deterrent forces on totally high alert. And finally, February 28th is when the crucial talks are now underway between, as we bring you this broadcast, in fact, between Russia and Ukraine on the Belarusian and Ukrainian, on the Ukrainian border is where those talks are actually happening at this time. I want to now tell you what's happening in Kharkiv. It happens to be the second largest city of Ukraine, but that is where some of the worst fighting and the worst violence has actually taken place. Let's show you some of those images and tell you what it actually looks like. Before that, give you a sense on the map of where Kharkiv is. Remember, this is Kyiv. This is the national capital of Ukraine. Somewhere around here on the Belarus and Ukraine border is where the talks are taking place, and this is Kharkiv. So it's due east about 300 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, from Kyiv is where Kharkiv is. Let's show you pictures of what's happening in Kharkiv right now. The city has witnessed fresh overnight shelling by troops from Russia with missiles, rockets and artillery shells. Blasts were also heard in the city of Kyiv and Kharkiv early this morning. Ukraine's State Service of Special Communications and Information Protection has reported very intense fighting here. The Indian embassy has corroborated that. The city has worn a devastated look in images accessed earlier today. Several Ukrainian civilians were reported killed in massive firefighting overnight. Ukraine admits that at least 352 nationals, including service personnel, have been killed and over 1,600 have been injured. Kyiv also says that its forces have killed over 4,500 Russian soldiers. These are massive claims to make, and they remain in the realm of claims with no corroborations of any kind so far. I want to take you back to Rajesh Pawar, who's live with us from Kyiv. He's been reporting on everything that's been happening in the city since curfew was lifted. Rajesh, you've been up close with areas that have been damaged, in missile fire since the last few days. Where are things at right now? All eyes are on those peace talks as well. But what's happening in Kyiv right now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Rajesh.
Just give me a second. Let me probably, there's the call also on. Just give me a second. Let me disconnect it. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Rajesh. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to show you around. I'm right now in Maidan at the Independence Square, the nerve center of political activity, of nationalism, of patriotism in Kyiv. I'm right now there. If you could see behind me is the Independence Square. I've just come back after a conducted tour of journalists by the Ukrainian government. We saw 2 bomb sites, a place where an apartment block has been bombed, and second place, again, a residential area which was bombed. Do you hear me clearly, please?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Rajesh. If I can't hear you, I'll tell you. Go ahead. Keep going.
So, as far as talks are concerned, as I had predicted yesterday, and I was very certain about this, these talks will fail. And not only me, the people in Ukraine, people in Kyiv knew this, that these talks are mere formality, because none of the side wants to be seen as someone who is running away from peace. And the moment these talks fail tonight, Kyiv is expecting a huge invasion, a huge burst of missiles, rockets, whatever Russia has got. Its might will be unleashed over Kyiv tonight if the talks fail. And that is what everyone is expecting, and that's what I expect. Over to you.
Talking about this massive attack on Kyiv expected later tonight or overnight as well. We've been seeing many of the missile attacks and rocket attacks also taking place overnight. So you're saying, Rajesh, if I'm not mistaken, that a big attack could be happening tonight?
Shiv, I'm so sorry. I can't hear you properly because I believe that there are 2 connections on at the same time.
You're talking about a possible big attack on Kyiv, Rajesh. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I'm expecting a huge assault tonight, maybe an air assault over Kyiv, and Kyiv is preparing for that. There have been huge concrete blocks placed by the Ukrainian military on the roads everywhere to deny use of these roads to the Russian armored personnel carriers, to tanks. They cannot go over them, and they've been placed all over the city. Trenches are being dug all around the city right now when we talk. These are all indication that something big is expected, and these talks, in my opinion, will certainly fail, and it is a matter of 1 hour. We will know the outcome of this, and the outcome, if negative, then it's not a good news for the residents of Kyiv tonight. Over to you.
What kind of attack will it be, Rajesh? Last question before I let you go. Will it be with tanks? What are you expecting?
I can talk for another 5-7 minutes. I'm out now.
Yeah.
See, the attack will primarily be missiles. Primarily will be cruise missiles, which are very accurate in hitting the targets. And mostly it will be strategic sites and military sites which will be hit tonight. And besides, there are special forces which are lying low. The reason why everybody is being checked, if you saw that video in the afternoon which I sent, when these people just pinned down 3 people from the car on the road, the police, they are expecting a lot of agents of Russian special forces, people who are sympathizers, people who are helping, people who are probably passing on information all over Kyiv right now. And there are a lot of special forces people who are right now inside Kyiv. And if I can turn my camera around, I can show you the Russian military here on the road at the center. Should I turn it around right now?
Yes, sure, absolutely. Yeah, we see that, Rajesh.
The journalists who are here, and then on there, it seems to be some kind of important person. Who is he? I can't say. But these people are there guarding him there right now. Some kind of a VIP who's there inside. I don't know who is it. But the people just came, and this all armed guards just surrounding his car from all directions. And this is the center of Kyiv. This is Maidan, Independence Square right now, where we are.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it there for the moment, Rajesh. You're saying that a massive possible attack on Kyiv could take place later tonight. That's an ominous prophecy. I hope somehow that doesn't come true. But with everything we've been seeing so far, including the latest, which is that Russia has asked for a full evacuation of Kyiv at the earliest, rings a very ominous note right now. Could this be a big storming attack or a big assault operation on Kyiv to bring it finally to its knees? This entire invasion by day 5 has slowed down in many ways. Perhaps the objectives have not been reached despite a large amount of force. Have things been miscalculated and underestimated by President Putin? We don't know. But at this time, even as Russia could be planning a big attack on the capital city of Kyiv, take a look at the kinds of weapons that have flowed in over the last 48 hours into Ukraine from neighboring countries. At least 2,000 anti-tank weapons called N-Law have come in from the United Kingdom. $48,000 per single shot unit. Anti-tank weapons called N-Law from the United Kingdom have come in. It's launched off the shoulder of soldiers, can be fired from very confined spaces. This is also because Ukraine is expecting a lot of guerrilla-style urban warfare, perhaps going into the final confrontation with Russian soldiers. Also, 152 artillery ammunition has been sent to Ukraine from the Czech Republic. Nearly $1,000 per round, we are told, provides fire support for armor and infantry forces. A lot of artillery shelling that's taken place as well. The other weapon that's coming in large numbers is the Javelin anti-tank missile. It's a very advanced guided anti-tank missile that's manufactured by the United States. Ukraine already has quite a few of them, but more are apparently coming in. They have infrared systems to lock on to targets, can be used at pretty good distances day and night. They've got a top-down attack mode in which the firing soldier can view his target before it actually hits, used in the Glukov area of Ukraine. So these have been quite widely already deployed among Ukraine's military forces. Apart from that, you've also got Stinger missiles, the famous Stinger missiles. These are shoulder-fired missiles sent by Latvia and Lithuania, originally Americans. They are $130,000 per unit. These are shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles. Because of the air power threat from Russia, many of these missiles will perhaps be useful to the Ukrainians. They've been asking for more and more Stinger, and Stingers are being now sent by Lithuania, Latvia, as well as Germany. Apart from Stinger missiles, and remember, Ukraine's been asking for every kind of thing. The Bayraktar TB2 drones. These are combat drones manufactured by Turkey, and several batches have, we are told, already been sent by Turkey. 5 million apiece. Very capable, not very high maintenance, capable of top-down attacks on tanks and bunkers. The big video of a combat drone in action earlier today could possibly have been one of these in action. We're not sure yet. But remember, the big war recently between Armenia and Azerbaijan also saw this particular combat drone deployed in very large numbers. We're going to wrap up 5 p.m. now.